the Talk Birdie to Me with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and Tour Pro Mark Allen, live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. And thanks to our great partners, Titleist, they're the clear number one ball in golf. FootJoy are the number one shoe and glove in golf. Driving a BMW is like hitting a perfect shot. Smooth, controlled and powerful. Ping, they'll help you play your best. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now, from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, it's time for Talk Birdie to Me.
G'day everybody, welcome to Talk Birdie to Me. This is a feedback podcast. Dan, over to you.
Okay, we've got a lot to get through, so let's start here. This is from Jeff. Now, Jeff wrote in with a question about the feedback pod we had last week where we spoke to Fred, or we heard from Fred.
And all the pickups.
How to avoid pickups. And Jeff said, got to lower your expectations. Play to your handicap, use your shots. You'll only ever play to your handicap 3 times out of 20 and somewhere near your handicap 5 times out of 20. The other 12 rounds are all higher. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I think
they are low expectations.
I think where Fred was coming from, though, was that because he is a talented player, a scratch marker who plays fortnightly, I think he was coming from a place of bad thoughts and, just getting rid of wipes. So I think the expectations for scratch markers and people playing off 12, I think our person, who was the person?
Jeff.
I think Jeff is probably quite accurate there. I think 12 markers, even 8 markers and above, if their expectations of their abilities is lowered to where they never go at a pin, they just go at the center of the green, that would change their scoring dynamic significantly. Just that little change where they just would not look at a flag unless you're, 40 metres away. If they just if they ever had a full or a half swing, if 8 markers plus just went in the middle of the green, I'm telling you, you'd get rid of that many double bogeys because that's the only thing really a 14 marker has to do, isn't it, Nick? They just have to get rid of the double bogeys off their card.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. If they play bogey golf, then they're going to throw in a few pars every now and then, and maybe even pick up a birdie. So there's your 36 points in a heartbeat. But I do like the low expectations though, because it's funny. You always play your best golf when the care factor is, not really very high. It's like, I'm just going to have a walk in the park, enjoy myself, and then through 12 holes, hang on, I'm sitting on 28 points. Then the care factor goes up, obviously, and that's when the pickups come. So you got to try and keep that same nonchalance, you could say, throughout the entire round. So,
it's so true.
There's various ways to do it.
Tramspotter has said, a lot of this is in your head. I've got a mate with great potential. The trouble is he plays social rounds like he should play competition rounds, and he plays competition rounds like he would play social rounds, i.e., time to fiddle with the swing, he tries different things, yada, yada, yada. The result is that he overthinks his competition rounds and gets in his own way. Conversely, does not benefit from the potential practice effects or the opportunities that you can have in a social round. Interesting.
They're a dime a dozen, aren't they, those sort of players, Nick?
Yeah, you don't want to be a driving range player.
No.
You want to be a golf course player. That's the best way, because there's so many. I mean, you look at it out on tour and various mini tours, Corn Ferry Tour, or you name it, any small mini tour in the world, you think, wow, how good are these golf swings? How come they're not out on the big boy tour or the big girl tour and things like that? And I can tell you now, it's upstairs. So
for those tinkerers, I think it's really important that you find something where you do your tinkering playing holes at nighttime. So you might go out and play 6 holes. There might be a 6-hole loop or a 9-hole loop at your golf club. If you find that you haven't been playing well, I always think that instead of trying to find something on the driving range that works, if you go out and spend your hour on the golf course playing 3 or 4 holes and find something that works on the golf course and then maybe practice that and not the opposite. Because in my life in golf, anytime that I've found something on the driving range, I would say taking it to the golf course wasn't that great a success rate. But if I found something on the golf course that worked, like just a different rhythm or, a wider stand, whatever it might have been, and it worked on the golf course, then the strike rate for improvement was quite high. So for the tinkerers, if you're going to tinker, find something on the golf course that works and then practice that on the range, not the opposite.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. Every now and then I find anyway, and I'm sure a lot of golfers do, on the course, you make one swing and you go, oh, that was an interesting feel.
Yes.
And you put it in the memory bank and then okay, the next one, oh, yeah, there it is again. And
that's it.
And then afterwards, as you say, maybe just go and hit a few balls just to tweak it or think about what's going on. And it might be something you can use later on. So that's a good way of thinking about it. I like it.
Spot on.
Another comment here on the Fred feedback pod. This is from Mike. The best golfers ever have bad holes in most rounds of golf. It is ridiculous to think it's not going to happen. If you didn't have them, you'd be a pro.
Who was the Playboy golfer in the 1920s who said you hit 7 bad shots every round?
No, Walter Hagen.
Walter Hagen, thank you.
Yep.
Walter Hagen expected to hit 7 bad shots around. I think he won, how many majors did he win? He won close to 10.
It's either 9, 10 or 11, I think.
It's 9, 10 or 11. It's something like that. So he had a great philosophy. So his golf was, I'm going to hit bad shots, but the art of golf is getting out of those bad shots. And that's, what Nick O'Hearn preaches all the time about the short game and getting very confident out of, once those bad shots hit, you just get out of it with some defense.
Yeah. And I think the other comment might have been Ben Hogan back in the day. He used to say, I only ever hit 2 perfect shots around.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are all kind of,
good misses.
What's my miss? What am I? Yeah, good misses. Am I managing my miss? And he was one of the best ball strikers the world's ever seen. So he's only hitting 2 perfect shots around. How are we going? So,
could you imagine how perfect his perfect shots must have been?
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
We'll finish off this last comment on the Fred feedback pod, and this is from Scott. Now, the reason I want to read this one out, I want to context this before I read it. There was a number of people who commented on social saying, basically, words to the effect of, I call BS. There's no way he's playing once every fortnight and he's a scratch golfer.
Yeah.
So we had a number of people who said that. So I wanted to read this email out here.
Yeah.
This is from Scott. He plays at my club. He's a gem of a bloke and a freak of a golfer. He was a state junior player. This is Freddie's talking about.
There you go.
And he got down to something like +5 years ago. He's got a family now and work commitments like most of us do. He played number 1 in the pennant team and was playing against guys in national teams. He smashed a US college player a couple of years ago, and he was something like 8 under through 11 holes when the match ended. I've only played with him a couple of times, but he is one hell of a player. So I think it's good just to context that, because clearly Fred is a very good player.
Yeah.
And, he wasn't making stuff up.
Well, it sounds like Fred used to be almost pro level.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit like an old boxer, Nick. You see someone who was a boxer his whole life and moved on from boxing in his 30s, and you just wouldn't want to go and spar with that bloke at 55, would you? And I think that's a lot like professional golfers. You learn when you're playing for your life, and Fred was probably trying to get there, you learn the art of golf and how to score. And you can get a lot out of your game without too much work. It just sounds like Fred's one of those guys.
Yep.
Yeah. You see some players I've played with over the years where you go, this guy must have been a pro or something along those lines, just the way they grip the club and the way they play. And I remember years ago I played around at a place called Wade Hampton. I may have told this before, but which is in North Carolina, near a spot where we used to go and have a holiday. And we're playing this golf course. It's a Tom Fazio course with my buddy who was a member and then another guy. And after a few holes, I'm going, my goodness, how good is this guy?
Yeah.
He can really play. And he was around that sort of 50-ish age, maybe early 50s. And as we're walking down the fairway, I said, okay, are you playing Champions Tour? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Because you've got a game which is just unbelievable. He says, no. He said, I'm a lawyer or I think he might have been a financial guy or whatever. And I said, seriously? And I said, where do you play? And he said, well, my family, I'm a member at Augusta. And I thought, sorry, what was your last name? And he told me his last name was Knox and his first name was Jeff. And I've gone, okay, now I get it. You're the guy that plays with the
he's the marker.
With the one, if they have an odd number
off the bench
cut at Augusta, there's a one ball goes out and they put a marker with him.
Yep.
And Jeff Knox was the guy that went out and played with him.
So. He beat Sergio one year.
Yeah, this guy could really play. He was very impressive. I think they got a new guy now. Jeff doesn't play anymore, so there's a younger player. So wouldn't you like to be that person playing in the Masters? Are you just hoping for an odd-numbered cut every year?
All right, we're going to go to the turn, have a sausage roll, and we've got a question about caddies right after this.
Okie doke. Hey guys, I was in at the Golf Clearance Outlet the other week and I was doing some of those amazing commercials that you see on social media.
More amazing. Oh,
anyway, there was a punter in there and he was in the golf simulators where they use the four-side GC quads, mind you, so they're pretty flash.
They are.
And what he was doing, he was actually trying clubs that were on the rack.
Nice.
At the Golf Clearance Outlet.
That's the way to do it, isn't it?
And so they had TaylorMade clubs, you had Callaway clubs, you had lots of Titleist gear. They were all over the place. And he was just going from one club to the next. He was actually purchasing irons off the rack. And then if you wanted some bigger grips or shorter clubs or longer clubs, you could get fitted out the back.
Perfect. Yeah, those GC quads as well, they give such good data. The technology is amazing. All the tour pros are using them as well, so you may as well use the best.
Well, Sam Colosimo, who runs the Golf Clearance Outlet right around the country, every single store has the four-side GC quads to help you purchase the best clubs you've ever had.
From Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, this is Talk Birdie-tome. We're here for BMW, luxury and comfort for the 19th hole. Ping will help you play your best. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. And Better is the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now, for Titleist, the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Okay, Dan, nice little sandwich there. Now, we've got a question about caddies. I love questions about caddies.
Well, I think you're going to like this one. This is a question from Alan. G'day, Nick and Mark. Love the podcast. Your tales of now playing in club competitions got me thinking. How much difference do you think it makes to your games when you play a club competition or similar without a caddy? Conversely, how much difference do you think a caddy would make to a low or a mid or a high handicap player?
Excellent question.
One of your favourite topics?
Yep.
Excellent question.
Depends if they're a good or a bad caddy.
That's a very good point. That's number one. But I think there is an art to using a caddy properly, to where some people just, they just want the bag puller. They just want someone to pull their bag along.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You probably, you might have a little fresher legs at 16, 17, 18. But if I had a caddy with me in my club comp and I used that caddy like I used it on tour, and he was just feeding information to me and, setting up where my target line was and just getting my head in the game a little bit more than, the normal idiots that I play with, and they're telling stupid stories or trying to put me off or whatever. I think my social golf would considerably improve. I'm going to say 2 or 3 shots around if I use the caddy properly in a club comp.
Yeah. No, I think at least that many for the, maybe the single figure or a low teen mark or even a high teen marker, a 20 marker. If you had a proper caddy with you, it'd be more than just 2 or 3 shots.
Yeah.
I think it'd be several. I know, I'm sure put it this way, if you or I caddied for an 18 handicapper, we could save 6 or 7 shots just like that.
Well, if you're I caddying for an 18 handicapper, he's breaking 90 every day of the week, which is just beating his handicap. And that's a good way of putting it, because there'd be quite a few holes where I'd say, "What are you driving for?" What's the use? Yeah. What, are you going to try and smash this thing again? Just hit your 3-wood down there. You're not going to get there in 2. Just hit your 3-wood, hit a 5-iron. We'll chip it on. See you later.
Yeah, and then reading greens.
Yeah.
It's such a difference for higher handicap players there. If we read a green for an 18 handicapper, instead of having I don't know, maybe 40 putts for the round, you could get that down to 34 or 35 pretty quickly. So.
Yeah, and what about in the bunkers too, Nick? I mean, there'd be situations in the bunker where you and I would look at the lie in the bunker and say, there, you cannot get it close to that hole over there. Don't hit it over that way because it's only going to go through the back. Just aim over there on the left and we'll 2-putt from 25 feet.
Perfect.
Lots of that stuff.
Our services are for hire, right?
Yeah, I'm expensive.
Okay, question here from Spindles. Guys, love the pod. It's like listening to two blokes on the 19th hole. Regarding Jack Nicklaus and only having to play to a certain level to beat nice players in majors, he finished runner-up 18 times. And he also described himself once as the greatest choker of all time.
What?
I don't remember hearing him say that, but that's what Spindles says. Are the following nice players? Tony Lima, Roberto Di Vincenzo, Bobby Nichols, Dave Marr, Hal Sutton, and Charles Coody. 33% of Jack's runner-up results were to nice players. Sometimes his strategy may have backfired.
Is that right?
Interesting. Wow.
Well, Jack wasn't nasty enough to beat the nice guys.
Well, that's what Spindles reckons.
Well, the thing you got to look at there, I think, is Jack's strategy in majors certainly changed from regular tour events. He played middle of the green. He played percentages because he always felt the other players would be too aggressive and maybe fold. Now, you're going to get some anomalies where someone just plays lights out. I mean, Hal Sutton's a good example. I think it was the 1982 US PGA Championship.
Sounds right.
Where when he first came onto the scene, he was the mini Golden Bear.
Yeah, that's right. He's the new version.
He had the same blonde hair, and in the end, he earned the nickname Halimony.
Did he?
Because he had about 4 wives or something like that. And he was always obviously paying money to the ex-wives in alimony. But and what was the other one? John Daly, I think he made up that song. My exes wear Rolexes. Or
that's it.
Between John and Hal, they had a few ex-wives. Anyway, getting back to the story. Hal just played lights out that week. I actually remember watching some highlights on YouTube, and it was just incredible. It might have been, was it Riviera? I can't remember where it was, but Jack was just playing his normal game, which he does, and typically people would fold around him. Yeah. So that you need to pick when to be aggressive, when to be not. I mean, back then they probably didn't have live scoring that you can see where players are. So a lot of the time you're just playing your own game, not realizing maybe where you are in the situation. So maybe only it's in the last few holes where the leaderboards are there, but I could be wrong in that sense. But I'd take Jack's record any day. And you ask anyone in any sport, I think Michael Jordan, how many game-winning shots did he take? You only remember the game-winning ones. He missed more than he would have made, right? So it's a scenario like that. So,
I've heard,
but all those players, when you say nice players, you can almost say a couple of them are great players like Di Vincenzo and Tony Lima. I heard this guy was phenomenal, and then he passed away in a plane crash, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Jack talking about it once after, he must have been 60, 70 when he didn't care anymore. He would quite often say that a lot of the guys just beat themselves. Yeah, he actually relied on other players beating themselves, and his name used to scare them all off the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's very similar to Tiger in that sense, and in Tiger's instance, he won more tournaments with his B and C game just through being there and in contention, and them seeing his name go up, and similar scenario.
See you later, everybody.
Beat themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, last comment here, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. This is from Thomas. G'day, guys. Love your show. Look forward to every episode. Can you please tell me what you think of the legend Moe Norman? Also, I'd like you to watch at some point the Moe Norman video by Mark Evershed. If you can show me anyone as accurate as that 70-yard downwind to green exhibition with approximately 30 shots unedited, he was the best ball striker I've ever seen, and I think I ever will see. I'd love to know what you think of him.
Well, I saw him. My first 2 years as a pro, 1991, I played in Canada. I used to play a little bit with Mike Weir, believe it or not, years ago. I used to play some practice rounds with him. Canada was great. And if you're lucky, Moe Norman would just turn up on the driving range when you were there, and he would just do an exhibition.
To me, that's what I believe, the way I get more distance. I'm 65, been still in the 280, 270. No effort, never get tired. Never off balance, never forcing. Using my whole self so well. ball just travels.
Who's that guy's going to catch it?
Oh, one of the things they all like to ask, and I know they do it every week, why do you start the club so far behind the ball, and why do you stand so wide?
Well, I stand wide for better balance. I lose distance, but I don't care. But I hit it dead straight, but it gives me way better balance. But the reason why I put the club here eliminates three things. I can't pick the club up, I can't take it outside, my right shoulder is already in my turn. Look at my right shoulder already. Way on top of that foot already, and I haven't even started. Not. Look at my own head. It's never on the ball. My head itself. It's always behind. Same as Jack Nicklaus. But I put it there right at the start. I got it there right in my own setup, puts me there. With the club way back here.
The year I was there, I didn't realise this, but Titleist felt bad for him, and they were giving him $5,000 a month just to turn up the places and put clinics on. That was the deal. He would sleep in his car. He was almost autistic. I'm going to say that. I think he was. He was definitely on the spectrum. He was an autistic savant sort of person. And the display that I saw, I can't even remember where it was, but it might have been in Edmonton, I'm going to say. The display put on in Edmonton was just a joke. Like this old guy just turned up. I think he warmed up with about 4 wedges and then went straight to fairway woods. And you could have put a bucket at the end of the range and they were all going pretty close. But someone said to him in the crowd, "I'll never forget as long as I live. How much do we owe you, Mo, for coming here?" And he said, "Just do my laundry, do my laundry." And he went to his car and came back and gave this guy a bunch of laundry. And the guy took the laundry and someone did his laundry. And I assume he got it back at the end of the day. But
yeah, he was
I'll never forget it.
Well, again, never saw him hit shots, but I've watched some videos. I've heard people talk about him. Tiger speaks about him as there's only 2 people that have owned their golf swing, and he always thought it was Ben Hogan and Moe Norman.
Yep.
And you watch his style and the way he does it, where he places the club basically a foot behind the ball. That's the most fascinating thing, in the wide stance and the baseball style grip, and how he was able to keep the club face square through the path of the ball longer than anyone else, basically, was why he was so accurate with it. But he had that quirky, Rain Man-ish type nature to him, where he would speak, a little bit odd and a bit different, but he definitely was on the spectrum and had some sort of form of autism, obviously. So some of the stories about him, like where he, they always said he couldn't chip and putt. So what he would do, he would lead a tournament by one coming down the final hole, and it's a driver 3-wood. So he'd hit it's a driver wedge type hole. So what he would do was hit wedge off the tee and then driver onto the green and then 2-putt. Or if he had a 2 or a 3-shot lead, he'd intentionally putt the ball off the green and then get it up and down out of the bunker, just to show people that he had a short game. I mean, to be able to do that is just incredible.
Crazy. You spoke about, I can give you some context about, he started his golf swing with the club a foot behind the ball. So where I was at, someone said, "Why do you start with the club so far behind the ball, Mo?" He said, "First 12 inches, most important part of the swing. Important part of the swing." He's always a 2-time talker. And he goes, "So I start there and I don't have to worry about the start of the swing." so that's why he would just put it 1 foot behind the ball, because he thought the first 12 inches of the takeaway was the most important part of the swing. So anyway, there you go.
It is interesting you say that he was on the spectrum. I didn't know that, but often you find people who are on the spectrum to some degree are highly intelligent and geniuses a lot of the time.
No, he saw golf differently and made the game very simple in his mind.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, boys. That's the show.
Good on you, Nick. Hopefully we'll get you back at headquarters here at Titleist FootJoy next week, folks. We'll see you next time.
Definitely. See you later.
Talk Birdie to Me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen comes live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. And thanks to our fantastic partners, Titleist is the clear #1 ball in golf. FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. BMW, luxury and comfort for the 19th hole. Ping, They'll help you play your best. Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. And the Golf Clearance Outlet, who beat everyone's prices. Wherever you listen or watch, we'd love you to subscribe and maybe leave a review. Talk Birdie Sydney's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media, with sound design by Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. And now from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, that's been Talk Birdie Sydney.